What's good, y'all? How y'all doing this morning? Welcome back to another episode of Don's Favor. What done? I'm here to do another coach scouting report. It's not a head coach I have in mind, but this is a guy that I would love to see in the NFL calling plays. Talking about Dino Babers today, the head coach for the Syracuse Orange. I got expert Syracuse writer from. I'd let him know where he's from, where he writes from. Josh Peelman, how you doing this morning, man?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, from Inside The LoudHouse here in Syracuse, New York.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you joining us this morning. It's like I'm ready to go to IHOP or Waffle House or something like that. I got me a little breakfast this morning, a breakfast burrito from Chick-fil-A, but I'm still a little hungry, so.
Chick-fil-A's way to go.
Exactly. All right. If you're new to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button. Share this content out with Atlanta sports fanatics. Hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holla at your hometown sports podcast. All right. So, Dino Babers. All right. Just give me a brief introduction of how he turned y'all coaching around up there in Syracuse, New York, upstate New York.
Yeah, he was a big difference. I mean, before he came in, we had Scott Schaefer, who was just a defensive coordinator here. So when Dino Babers got hired to come to Syracuse, it was a big transformation. It's a family guy, has like this Southern charm, just warms in you really quickly. We didn't know what we were getting other than he had a high profile offense. So when he came along, we were sort of shook up by the fact that suddenly we had a 1,000-yard receiver right away. So he is somebody that's going to put a plug right into the program, give him a spark. He develops good talent very quickly, especially young talent. Multiple first-round draft picks. I mean, Jimmy G. I mean, enough said.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up later on in the show because a lot of people don't know where Jimmy Garoppolo came from, and I'm like, he came from Eastern Illinois, and people's like, huh? And, I'm like, well, who's the coach out there? It's Dino Babers, So I give him credit for developing them. And NFL, he went to New England, went to a good system. That's, I ain't gonna say stunting his development, but when you go to a good system, you thing you gotta do is just learn the playbook and figure out how they play their football. And then when he went out there to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, I just feel like he's not their answer.
No. Yeah, they need to run a offense out in San Francisco that's going to tailor to Jimmy G's talent. He likes to throw the ball a lot and not hand the ball off, and they like to run the ball a lot out there in San Francisco. And Atlanta's, they like to throw the ball. I mean, Matt Ryan, they need a similar sort of offense out there for him to be successful, and he's not throwing the ball enough.
But here's the thing, Kyle Shanahan got a Matt Ryan. So
there you go.
And that's the thing, like, man, I tell people, everybody say Kyle Shanahan made Matt Ryan. I'm like, no, Matt Ryan made Kyle Shanahan. So we keep it 100 because he ain't done nothing since. If we keep, yes. So, but I want to go ahead and go through his scouting report real quick. Let me pull that up. All right. So he been coaching since the 80s, but I'm not gonna go too far back in the archives because he was pretty much a position coach and offensive defensive assistant at certain schools. But yes, he did play football at University of Hawaii. He was born and raised in Hawaii, so a lot of people don't know that. But when he got pretty much his name to fame was in 95, when he was 95 to 96 when he was in Arizona. All right. He was a wide receivers coach from 95, 96, and then he was still there 97 as the running backs coach, and then he became the offensive line and quarterback coach in 98 and 2000. And then he left there and went to Texas A&M, and he was there for a couple of seasons. He was the offensive line and quarterbacks coach out there. And then he went to Pittsburgh or Pitt, and he was a running backs coach out there. And then he went to in 04 to 07, he went to UCLA. He was the he was a wide receivers coach in 04 and 05, the running backs coach in 06, and then he was assistant head coach and running backs coach in 2007. All right. So, and I remember he was out there in UCLA, like they had a good run game out there back during that time.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and I was like, back then I didn't know, I'm like, okay, why are they so good? Because I remember in like 07, they upset at USC because USC was trying to make another championship national title run, and they upset at them. I think it was their last game of the season because I think UCLA plays USC. I think Thanksgiving weekend. With all the rival schools.
Really late in the season, yeah.
All right. So he went to Baylor in 2008 with Art Briles, and he was there from 2008 2011. He was the wide receivers and run game coordinator in 08. And then in 09, he segued to special team and wide receivers coach. So, and everybody remember, Baylor back then when they had RG3 and that high power offense, that veer and shoot offense. And what he did, he took that talent, he left there, and he became the head coach of Eastern Illinois in 2012. And he was there for a couple of seasons, and he developed and groomed Jimmy Garoppolo there. And then he left there and he spent 2 seasons in Bowling Green in Kentucky, and then y'all picked him up in 2006. So
yeah, the big thing about UCLA has all that experience going into Baylor. A lot of people, especially after Syracuse, the main thing that we focused in when he became a head coach here was that he came from Baylor in the Art Briles system. Art Briles likes to really space out the field and likes to run a lot of RPO run pass options. So, I mean, that's why RG3 was so successful, even a little bit into the pros, is because he could, throw the ball quickly or he'd run if he needed to. So that's exactly what he got with Eric Dungy. If you might remember Eric Dungy.
Yeah, I remember Eric Dungy.
Syracuse for a couple of years. So that's what he inherited when he came here to Syracuse.
Yeah, I remember Eric Dungy. Yeah, I remember that game that what bowl y'all was in that year? Yeah,
I think of Pinstripe Bowl for the second year I think he was in, and then the year after we were in the Camping World Bowl.
Camping World Bowl. Yeah, that's the game that he got a lot of attention as well. But I want to go back to the time he was when he was in Texas A&M. Now, when he was at Arizona. All right, they was ranked top 20 in score offense. All right, and total offense, scoring offense, and total offense. Scoring offense, they were 15th, and then total offense, they was 18th. All right, the Wildcats was 12-1 that season, I believe, in '98, and they finished 4th in both polls. Yeah. So that right there tells me everything I need to know. So he's been pretty much around a good offense for over 20 years now. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, why hasn't he gotten any attention, outside of the college world in the NFL? Because you see guys like Cliff Kingsbury, even back then you saw Lane Kiffin, getting opportunities in the NFL, as an offensive coordinator or head coach. Steve Sarkisian, he spent some time with us with the Falcons.
Yeah, so got some good offense right there.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't good when we had him. Like, he was all right, but still, Matt Ryan still put up the numbers that he did under Kyle Shanahan his second season under Sark. But I'm just going back all the way back. So he's been coaching for a long time. I know he's not these young, because everybody like these young offensive-minded gurus. And I'm sitting over here like, well, Dino Babers can be considered as an offensive guru himself. And a lot of people sit up here and say, well, he's at Syracuse and they're not doing good. I'm like, the problem, and you cover Syracuse.
Yeah.
Recruiting in football is very difficult. Am I right or wrong?
It is. I mean, especially in New York State, because, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of competition in New York State per chance, but in like New England, you got Boston College and the ACC. We have to play with a lot of ACC schools like Clemson, NC State. Believe it or not, most of our recruiting is down south. I'm talking Florida, North Carolina, Massachusetts, sometimes upstate, but mostly Virginia, Texas, California. That's where we usually have to recruit from. A lot of the in-state talent is hard to recruit, and a lot of recruits don't want to come up to a place where they're going to get snow for half their season. They get stuck up here, and they're stuck here for the next 3 or 4 years. This is a developmental place in terms of football, and a lot of recruits know that. We don't get a whole bunch of big recruits. I think the last big one we've had was Tommy DeVito as a quarterback, and maybe this Chestnut kid that's going to be a corner next year. So it's really hard to get big talent up here and recruit them.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Even with the big offense.
I agree with you on that. Yeah. So Babers, he coached and recruited more than 70 NFL players, 33 draft picks, and all 4 Pro Bowls. We talking about guys like Lance Briggs, Matthew Slater, Josh Gordon, and Azhar Hakeem, and 3 other Pro Bowlers. Briggs, Slater, and Gordon, they all made the Pro Bowl like more than a few times in their career. So the development is there.
Yeah, he loves to develop talent. I mean, he has a laundry list even since he's been to Syracuse, especially among wide receivers. You saw his wide receiver coaching record. Check out these wide receivers he has. Amba Editawo, 1,482 yards on 94 receptions in 2016. Steve Ishmael, 1,347 yards on 105 receptions in 2017. Tristan Jackson, 2 years ago, 1,028 yards on 66 catches. Mm-hmm. This year, Taj Harris, 50 receptions, 664. So, I mean, he loves to develop talent. I mean, even our running backs have been better since he's been here as well, mostly because he loves to run a lot of screen passes. He's not conservative. He relies on his offensive coordinator to really push the ball, make plays, and get that clock running. That's something that you'll definitely see from a Dino Babers offense. And that may be one of the reasons NFL hasn't come calling yet, is because of the fast offense. But it's hard to say if that would work in the NFL or not.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. All right, now 13 of his proteges, players that, have been picked up in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft, including 6 of the first 2 rounds. Arizona running back, you got to go back to true candidate. This was a guy that was picked up by the Rams after they won a Super Bowl, and they didn't really do anything with him. And along with Jimmy Garoppolo, wide receiver Brian Alford, Will Blackwell, Dennis Northcutt, and Josh Gordon were selected to in the 2nd round.
Yeah, unfortunately, since he's been at Syracuse, hasn't been a whole bunch of first-round draft picks or anything. Been more on the defensive side of the football, unfortunately, or wide receivers that have been drafted late. But definitely before he came to Syracuse, he had a lot of high-profile talent, especially at top programs. He can develop really good talent, like you said, at Arizona, Baylor, wherever those big stops he's made, he's developed them. Even at Eastern Illinois, we had Jimmy G. So, I mean, he can take talent and really develop it quickly and make them a high choice. And Atlanta has a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I feel like, with the Falcons, if we decide to just bring him in as a, OC, I think we'll benefit from that. I know a lot of people say, well, he's not polished enough yet. And I'm like, okay, well, he's been coaching for 40 years. How much polished do you want him to be?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around the block for sure. I think he'd be a great offensive coordinator in the NFL. I love him as a head coach here at Syracuse. I love what he's developed. But I think in an offense, especially Atlanta's, is one of the few that I'd look at, either that or like a Saints, one of the faster offenses that is currently in place, so it wouldn't be as big of a change. He needs one that has a lot of wide receiver and running back talent, has a decent tight end. And Atlanta has all 3 of those. If Hayden Hurst, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, it would thrive. I mean, thrive with that kind of offense under Dino Babers. Though I would suggest he bring like an assistant like Mike Lynch, who's been with Syracuse. He's been bringing him around the block most of his travels over the years. You want to see that offense take off in Atlanta, you want a spark plug, you want those 2.
Exactly. Now, before he came to Syracuse, y'all offense was ranked 113th. That's horrific. All right. Now, when he came there his first year, y'all was still, y'all took a dip and y'all went from 113 to 118. You got to think about it. The first few years, those are not your players at all. So you got to wait. Y'all was ranked 118, 751 plays, 3,839 yards. Y'all averaged 5.11 yards per play, 34 touchdowns, and 319.9 yards per game. Then the next year, y'all start seeing this right here is impressive. From 16 to 17, y'all went from 118th ranked offense in college football to 42nd in total offense. And y'all did more plays. Y'all had 971 offensive plays. Y'all had 5,290 yards a season, 500.45 yards per play, 39 touchdowns, 440.8 yards per game.
They said that was 2018, right?
That's 2017.
Okay, yeah, 2017, 2018. Gotcha. Yeah, that's the big 10-3 year that Syracuse had there. That's the first. There's two reasons why.
Well, that was 2006. No, that was 2016 to 2017. I haven't gotten 2018 yet.
Oh wow. Okay, so 4-8 season then.
Mm-hmm.
So he still had a bunch of production, even on a really lousy season in terms of results. That was the year that I think that we upset Clemson, but not the year that we went 10-3.
Exactly. Now, when y'all went 20-3 in 2018, here are the numbers. This is why I said that this man should come to Atlanta. So a team that has a hard time recruiting football players, because y'all a basketball school. All right. And in his third year, y'all offense was ranked 23rd. 23rd. All right. 1,027 plays. All right. 1,027 plays. Y'all had 5,476 yards a season. Y'all had 36 touchdowns, and y'all had 456.3 yards per game. So you see that offense still improving. Now, you can tell me, I'm gonna let you talk about the 2018 season a little bit. Give everybody because now here we're in SEC, ACC country. Well, even tech people. I did a tech show. They know about Dino Babers a little bit, but they, don't even understand how the system up there works. So I want you to go ahead and shine some light on that.
Yeah, so a couple of things happened in that 2018 season. One is Eric Dungy finally stayed healthy. He didn't get injured towards the end of the season. It would always be make it 6 games in, then he'd get injured. The second thing was, like you talked about, he developed that talent. And after 2 or 3 years, the system finally clicked, actually a little bit earlier than he was expecting. He said it was going to take 4 years for it to all click together. It did it in like 2.5. They started realizing their potential, upset Clemson the year before, and then 2018 had that 10-3 season. But the big thing in the 2018 season was that the wide receivers, I think it was Steve Ishmael that year that really blossomed under under Dino Babers' tutelage that year, and the running backs were all seniors and juniors. They had already been in his system for a couple of years. They knew it, and they just literally went off that season in terms of yards on the ground. I think our tight ends had breakout years for the first time in probably like 20 years here at Syracuse. So it felt like McNabb's era came all the way back to Syracuse. So that's what you'd be getting if you got Dino Babers coming to Atlanta. It'd be like the second coming of McNabb, and we all know McNabb was pretty good. So
McNabb was good, but I'm not finna, Matt Ryan is great, man. I
love Matt Ryan.
You say you like Matt Ryan?
Oh, I love Matt Ryan. I especially liked him at Boston College. But I love the way that he passes the ball. I was in Carsville a year or two ago, so I was a big fan. They won the Super Bowl down there. So
yeah, man. I wish we won the Super Bowl, but we didn't. So
that's the defense.
We
should improve defense.
Thank you. And look, man, you ain't even a Falcons fan. and you covering college football, and you know that we need defense. And I've been trying to tell people we need a defense, but Matt Ryan and his offense, they do need a person that can call a good game plan, make the in-game adjustments. All right. And I feel like Dino Babers can do that for the Falcons. If not the Falcons, he can do it with any team in the NFL if he has, the tools and weapons like he need to be successful.
Yeah, and the Falcons offense, it's all there. You got Todd Gurley, who's that former All-Pro. You got Ridley. You got Brian Hill. What else? You got Julio Jones. What else do you guys need? Russell Gage. I mean, these are guys that are even developing. Russell Gage is going to be a great talent, and Ridley, we're seeing him take off. So, former Alabama product. So
exactly. So here's the thing. All right, and a lot of people sat up here and said, well, that's the only season y'all had good. Well, 2019, yes, y'all was ranked, but the thing is, y'all was ranked 19th in offense in 2019. It just, the defense, y'all just defense in 2019 was just not good at all to win.
The defense crashed.
Exactly. Y'all was ranked 19th. Y'all had 1,063 plays, so you still you producing more plays on offense from 2018. Then y'all had 6,042 yards that season. Y'all had 5.68 yards per play. Y'all had 60 touchdowns, and then y'all had 464.8 yards per game. That right there is deadly.
Yeah, what's scary
is deadly, but when you can't go ahead.
That's the sophomore quarterback too. Tommy DeVito was a highly recruited quarterback coming out of high school. That's who we had after Dungy there last year. But Tommy DeVito was a sophomore quarterback who had only had like 2 or 3, maybe 4 games of experience, and he still put up those numbers in Dino Babers' offense. So that's the kind of talent that he develops quickly.
Exactly. All right, and that's the thing. We talk about the Falcons' offense a lot here, and people want to say, well, with Matt Ryan, he ain't scoring enough points. I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. We seen it against the Cowboys. We scored 35 points. 39 points. I'm sorry, 39 points that game. And guess what? They won the game by 40. Like, if you don't have a defense to stop anybody, it doesn't matter how many points you can put up. Yeah. And that right there, that's the story of the 2019 Syracuse team. They scored a lot of points, but they just couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah, and that was a Cowboys offense, I think, without Dak Prescott, right?
Yep. We had Andy Dalton.
I mean, Dak Prescott, 40 points for the Cowboys, I understand, but with like Andy Dalton,
but either way around, it doesn't. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers or a Brett Favre in his prime, a Peyton Manning in his prime. If you go out there and you get into a shootout, your defense got to make a stop.
Yeah, they haven't been making stops all year. I mean, they picked up a couple wins here down the stretch, but that's mostly because of Matt Ryan, and the offense is actually carrying the team, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that, and then we do have Raheem Morris as an interim right now. We fired Dan Quinn, but I said this on the show the other night, like, Raheem Morris got to win this Sunday against the Saints. If he loses against the Saints, he's not going to be considered as the head coach in 2021. So that's just my take on that. But so I'm not even going to bring up this season because y'all had a lot of injuries. So it's this season is just a wash in my book. And then with COVID-19 and all that, so you have a lot of teams right now that's not looking good.
Yeah, our quarterback got injured after 4 games. We had our first top 2 running backs drop out COVID. So, yeah, bad season.
Exactly. So, talk to me about the veer and shoot offense. Now, it's very similar to June Jones offense back in the day, but it's different.
Yeah,
so explain to me about that.
Yeah, the one thing about our offense you'll see a lot here at Syracuse under Dino Babers is that Mike Lynch likes to throw a lot of vertical routes on the outside, but also he likes to do some crossing routes over the middle with the tight ends. We haven't seen it as much this year under the new offensive coordinator, But the last couple of years, Dino Babers like to do a lot of crossing routes with his tight ends, and then would do one slot receiver usually on the right hash that would go up and then veer in towards the middle of the field. So it always give you an option to go long. He likes to stretch the field, but he also wants to do a ton of screen passes. That means doing a run pass option, hand off to the running back, fake it, and then do a quick pass to the sideline. He likes to do that, get 2 or 3 yards, keep the plays moving.
Yeah. And now to that, like a lot of people say, well, in that offense, they don't like to run the ball. Like, is that true or false?
Depends. We haven't really had the talent to, but when we have, he still really didn't. Mo Neal was sort of like the exception. We had him the last couple of years, but he was a fast running back like LaDainian Tomlinson was. So we'd like to use him for conservative plays up the middle, but he didn't really use him on the outside for catches. No.
All right. And that's the thing, you know, with the Falcons right now with Dirk Cutter, we don't run the ball that much. But I feel like if he comes to the NFL, you have to run the ball. I understand this is like a passing league now, but at the same time, man, especially with Matt Ryan and his age, you can't expect this man to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. It got to be balanced, man, or at least close to balance. When you see teams like
offense, balanced.
When you see teams like offenses like the Titans, right now, even Green Bay, they running the ball well, and on the Saints, like they running the ball, and this is why they have the record that they have. This is why their offense is like in the top 5, according to Football Outsiders. And going back to last season, like yes, the 49ers, they had a good offense, but it wasn't because they passed it, because they were running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have the talent. I mean, you have Brian Hill and Todd Gurley there in Atlanta, and, you know, the Saints have Alvin Kamara and the rest of that. So, I mean, it's not like the Saints. The Falcons don't have the talent. They do. And if Dino Babers were to run the offense in Atlanta, he'd have to run the ball, and he'd have to use screen passes on the outside with Gurley because he's got the talent. I know people say he's washed up. I haven't seen it. I mean, he's had some days where he hasn't carried the ball all that well, like 3.3 yards per carry, but there's some days where he just goes off, and you got to use your tailback to keep that defense honest, especially if you have the wide receiver talent to pass out wide for.
All right. Now, I know this is a tough question I'm about to ask you. Should he leave Syracuse for a job in the NFL?
I'm glad you got me on that question, because a lot of Syracuse fans would say, yes, please take him. Please take him. After the year that we just had, I'm going to be honest with you. I would hate to see him leave. I think he's a family guy. I think he's changed the culture here in Syracuse. I'd hate to see him leave. Being sort of a half Falcons fan myself from my time down there, I would love to see him in the offense that you guys run down there. But yes, we would miss him here a lot in Syracuse. At least the fans of us who remember the 10-3 season. So
exactly, because y'all ain't had a 10-3 season in a long time. You know, you going back to when McNabb was the quarterback.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Exactly. All right. So if he leaves Syracuse and go in the NFL, I'm not saying that if he comes to Atlanta, but he can go to any team to be an OC. Will he have the success?
I think he would. If he's given the reins by the head coach to be able to transform the offense the way that he wants to and bring like his own sort of like staff and assistants with him. Dino Babers is the one that runs the offense, but he needs like a running backs or wide receivers coach that's going to run the way that he wants to run it. And it's probably going to be a year before you see the real fruits of it. You'll see a couple fruits early in the first couple seasons, but you won't see it probably until about midway through at least the first season before you see any true results from him, just because he needs to develop the talent and change how they're running their routes. Anytime you run a new offense, especially one as dynamic as Dino Babers is, they need the time to develop it.
And I feel like that veer and shoot offense, if he brings that to the, because I don't think there's a coach that's running that in the NFL right now.
Not really. I think the closest probably would be the Saints. Would be the closest that I've seen.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if he comes to the NFL, all right, and brings that offense with him, it'll be like very similar to that triple option, that came to the NFL 10 years ago. It took defenses a while to figure it out. When you look at how the Seahawks built their defense, that Legion of Boom, and then they front seven, it was all predicated on stopping that type of offense. And you saw other teams trying to, I guess, master that as well. And you saw the triple option pretty much came old passe very quick. But that veer and shoot offense, I feel like, is very old. It's not old school, but it got a twist on it. And I feel like he can bring that to Atlanta. It's going to take time for teams to figure that out. It's gonna because you're gonna need you're gonna need some good DBs. You're gonna need some great safeties that can read that. And if not, guess what? They're gonna have a long day. We seen that happen back in 2017 when y'all beat Clemson. When y'all beat I forgot the doggone Dabo Sweeney. I remember that game. He had that defense had a long day that day.
Yeah, there were a lot. That in the fear and sure offense, you see a lot of those screen passes, the quick 5-yard routes, and if the safeties in the NFL don't pick up on that in the first year or two, they're gonna have some major trouble. A lot of them think they're gonna run out, 5 to 10 yards down the field, and then try to go in for a slant. With Dino Babers' offense, usually receivers go out only 1 or 2 yards on the outside, while one guy is right next to him is the blocker. So as soon as he gets the catch, he goes around the blocker and then makes a long play down the side. Either that or it's a long pass play down the side. So that's what you'd be getting if you got that kind of offense there.
See, that's the thing, man. I done watched the film on Dino when he, up there in Syracuse, and I'm like, I'm loving this offense. And I've been watching it like earlier this season because I knew Dirk is just not doing it for us, and I was trying to figure out who do we need to bring in. And a lot of people here in Atlanta, they want an offensive-minded person to be a head coach. I'm against it, just simply because we have an offense, and your offensive-minded person gonna come in, they're gonna want to get rid of Matt Ryan, and you can't get rid of Matt Ryan right now because of the contract. So I'm still want to get a proven defensive-minded person to bring in as a head coach, like a Don Martindale. Give Rex Ryan another shot if he want to get another shot. Bring in a guy like Matt Eberflus from Indianapolis. Those guys right there, man. I think they'll come in and they'll give you that type of production on defense. Calling plays the right way, giving us the right scheme to run on that side of the ball. And then you just bring in somebody like Dino Babers and on the offensive side of the ball, that can, like, you already know what you have talent-wise, but you just call the play the right way, make the right plays. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up that point. Yeah, if they brought in a defensive-minded coach, the one good thing about bringing in Dino Babers, because he has so much experience and he isn't like a Chip Kelly that had or a Lane Kiffin, all these people that had all this attention around them. Mm-hmm. He's sort of be like a low-profile hire that's going to get the job done, while the head coach gets all the flack or the attention for it. So pretty much he's going to be allowed to run his scheme without anyone interfering on it, which is super nice. Whereas if he was put in a head coach, obviously you get the flack right away. So yes, defensive coach definitely and that's why I liked when you mentioned the indie coach, but don't take my indie guys. That's my team.
Man, look, we need Eberflus, man. Eberflus is a good coach. I know, he's great. I feel like he done a lot for that defense. So a lot of people here in Atlanta. Go ahead.
Yeah, number one.
Exactly. A lot of people here in Atlanta, they want Eric Bieniemy as a head coach, and I'm like, the man has no experience of calling plays. He's not calling plays out there in Kansas City. We know Andy Reid still had that playbook, that Waffle House looking playbook in his hand, calling plays. So, and some people said Lincoln Riley or Jim Harbaugh. I'm a Michigan fan, by the way, and I do not want Jim Harbaugh coming to Atlanta. I don't want him in Michigan, but I definitely don't want him in Atlanta. So,
yeah, I think Lincoln Riley would be another excellent choice to run an offense in the NFL. I don't know why. I know he wants to stay in Oklahoma, but I mean, NFL, he'd be great in the NFL.
Exactly. So talk about one more time before we leave, man, his style of coaching, like what he like for the players. Like just share that with us before we head on out.
Yeah, one thing I'd say about Dino Babers, what you're going to get from him, especially from the locker room and how he affects the players, you're going to get a guy that's not going to yell at his guys. He told us that as soon as he came into Syracuse, that he wants them to be inspired, so he doesn't want to yell at them. The last coach, Scott Schaefer, that we had really went to the locker room whenever they made mistakes and just lit into them. Dino Babers isn't that kind of guy. This is a very guy that's going to sit down, tell you what you did wrong, but he's going to do it with a way that you're going to learn from it. And he's going to make sure that by the time you run it next time, you're not making that mistake again. He's going to sit you down, invite you over to the family, and go over it with you. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a family guy. He brings this Southern charm with him with that. He just sort of like welcomes everyone with open arms. Everyone's a big family. We go and we do everything together. That's the kind of guy that Dino Babers is. So in that offense, you would see the offense really come together and just really click with each other very quickly because they're going to be all on the same page. That's what he did to the Syracuse offense right after they get going. It started humming within the first 2 or 3 games as soon as he came here. So.
All right. Well, hey, that's what we want here, man, is a new type of culture that we need to usher in, because we've been called soft, we've been called nonchalant, we've been called a lot of things, man. And I'm just ready for us to change the style of football that we play. So that way, when people see that Falcons logo on their schedule, they're going to be like, oh, man, we're going to be in for that day. So that's what I want, But I appreciate you coming on, man. Once again, let everybody know who you are, where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm at JMP Messenger on Twitter, and obviously check us out Inside The LoudHouse for all Syracuse football, basketball, women's basketball content. All
right, well, thank you so much, man. Everybody watching live, appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit us up in the comment section if you're watching this at a later time. Let us know, hey, your thoughts on Dino Babers coming in as an offense coordinator. Not just, if he don't come here as a Falcon, he can go somewhere else and we can see that nice offense. Hopefully they don't be a team, a rival team, but I don't think it's going to be, if any team, it's probably be what, Tampa Bay, Carolina, or something like that, but we'll see. But appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta sports fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. This is your boy, The Don, back with another episode of The Don's favorite scouting coaches in the NFL and in college football. So I see y'all later. I'll be back tomorrow scouting Brian the Ball, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So y'all stay tuned for that as well. So y'all have a great Saturday. Enjoy some college football. I'm out.